Well, a major turn of events in the state of Wisconsin. The state Supreme Court striking down the governor's stay-at-home order, saying he did not have the authority to extend it without consulting legislators. The ruling allowed bars and restaurants to open immediately, leading to an influx of crowds. So how is the state going to be able to control this moving forward? To give us his thoughts, we welcome author and Newsmax columnist Tom Basile. Tom, what do you make of this news out of Wisconsin?
Well, look, welcome to federalism, folks. So this is the way our system is designed, and the states are making their individual decisions. I totally understand why there are people in Wisconsin who are saying, look, it's time. The governor extended the order even beyond that from New York City's at the time. And Wisconsin's a state of 5.5 million people. They've had only about 10,000 coronavirus cases and about 400 deaths. So they seem to be at a point where they should be starting to open with some reasonable restrictions. What's going to be really interesting here is, will we see a statistically significant increase in coronavirus cases? Is Wisconsin, if they're going to keep the bars and the restaurants open, going to serve as a model? And we should be watching this over the next few weeks. Will we see a bump in cases as people start to go back to bars and restaurants?
And I bet a lot of people say, yes, you will. But that doesn't mean we should be shut in for the rest of our lives. And it seems to me, Tom, I don't know how you feel about it, but if a governor or the president saying you need to stay at home for a certain amount of time for an emergency situation, fine. But I think the Supreme Court there was saying, you can't do this forever. It's not just your call. You need to include the legislature if you're going to extend it beyond a certain point.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we've been seeing a lot of these orders not make a lot of sense. Mayor Garcetti in LA just extended indefinitely his quarantine. J.B. Pritzker's out there saying that even if you've got a family of 5 people who have cohabitated together, only 2 of them are allowed on a boat. And then, of course, you have the governor who said you can go buy your pot and your booze, but you can't go to an outdoor church service. So we're going to start to see we're starting to see this pushback. And I think that you're going to start to see, with reasonable accommodations and, of course, people being personally responsible, you're going to start to see more and more opening across the country over the next 4 weeks.
So, Tom, you are saying that you think this might set precedent, perhaps, for other states with those stricter, those restrictions that have been more draconian, so to speak.
Yeah, I think we should really keep an eye on Wisconsin. If they're going to let the bars and the restaurants stay open over the next few weeks, we should be looking at the numbers coming out of Wisconsin. And yeah, I think you'll see a little bump, but is it going to be enough to justify reinstituting a lockdown at this point in time?
So let me ask you, with the time in this segment that we have left, the love gov, because he's been out there. We're talking about Cuomo, that everybody seemed to react so positively. But wait a minute, how long does he go on as kind of the authority without consulting the legislature in New York?
Well, unfortunately, the legislature in New York is entirely controlled by Democrats out of New York City, and they gave him very, very expansive powers. You're starting to see Republicans who are in the minority in both chambers say that, we should scale some of those powers back. But several months ago, they gave him very expansive executive authority. And Cuomo is digging his heels in and saying that, particularly for the New York City Metro, unless there is a dramatic increase in testing, though he doesn't say how much, and a tracing and tracking and databasing program, that he intends on keeping at least New York City and the New York City Metro basically locked down. And so there's a lot of uncertainty in New York City.
All right. Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you again in a few moments. Coming up, we're going to have continuing coverage of the coronavirus crisis after this.